All right, guys, so we are going to be looking at different type of triangle. We've been focused on finding missing sides and missing angles for triangles that are right. Today we are going to kind of focus on how we can find missing sides and missing angles when we have a triangle that's not right. They usually call those like oblique triangle, but more specifically, like what we're about to do can be used pretty much for like any type of triangle that we're trying to look at, okay? And so today what we're going to focus on is something called the law of sines, okay? And the law of sines works in a way in which if I have an angle and a side that are opposite each other, I can find missing sides and missing angles. So the way the law of sines goes is that if I look at the sine of an angle, so like for example, like angle A, and I go to the side that's across from it, which is considered to be side A, that ratio is going to be the same as if I were to look at the sine of B over the side across from it, B. Okay? And then that same thing works with the other side too. So like if I look at C, going to be equal to, like, over that ratio. So like the sine of C over C should equal the sine of B over B, which is equal to the sine of A over A. Okay. Now one thing that we just want to keep in mind, guys, is that when we look at our calculator, we want to make sure that when we turn it on and we press the mode button, okay, we want to make sure that degree is highlighted. So we would just press enter on degree. Okay. So in order for me to use the law of sines, I have to have a time in which I have an angle and a side that are across from each other that I know. So like if I look at this figure, I know an angle and a side that are across from each other. So if I know that, then I can find, if I know another angle, I can find the side measure that's across from it. So if I look, the sine of the angle, so I'm going to take the sine of 35 over the side measure that it's across from it, which is 12, should equal the sine of the angle that we're working with, 71 over x. So if you guys notice that this angle and this side are across from each other, I set up the sine over that side, and then the sine of 71 over the side that's across from it, okay? So this creates a proportion. Now I can solve this by just finding out, like, first thing that I would do is I would find what the sine of 35 is. Okay, and when I do that, I get it to be 0.5736 over 12. And then in my calculator, I would do the sine of 71, which would be 0.9445 over x. Okay, and then what we're going to do, if we want to solve this, is then we would just do some cross multiplication. So I would take these two sides, this 0.5736 times x, and then 12 times 0.9445. And so when I multiply those two together, I get 11.35 equals 0.5736x. And then I would just divide by 0.5736. And what I would end up with is that missing side would be approximately 19.8. Okay? So I can use this relationship when I have an angle and a side that are across from each other. So let's look at this next example. So I have 18 degrees, and it's across from 5. So I can say the sine of 18 over 5 would equal the sine of 114 over the side that it's across from, which is x. Okay? So just keep on doing what we were doing. So like if I find the sine of 18 on my calculator, I would get 0.3090 over 5, and then I would get 0.9135 over x. And then I would just cross multiply. So I would get 0.3090x. When I multiply those two together, I get 4.5675. And when I solve for x, I would get, sorry guys, I would get x to be 14.78. Okay? So I can use this when I have an angle and a side that are across from each other. So I'm going to ask you guys to try 3 through 8 for me. When you guys are done with 3 through 8, I'm going to ask you guys just to unpause. I'm going to ask you to pause the video, try those, and then check your answers with what I got. Okay? Hopefully you guys are pausing the video. So now what we're going to do is just check to see what you got. Okay? So when I look at number 3, like we have 59 and x are paired up together, 73 and 20 are paired up together. When I find that, I got 17.93. Now this next one, I do have a side and an angle that are across from each other, so that's why I set up sine of 96 and 27 that are across from each other. But the problem is that x is the side that I'm trying to find. So I had to find out what that angle was. So what I ended up doing was taking 180 minus 96 minus 53, and that would get you 31 degrees, okay, which allowed me to do the sine of 31 over x, which when I solved for it, I got 13.98 for that, okay. When you guys flip it over, for 5, I did sine of 29 over 15, found that other side, so I took 180 minus 103 minus 29, which got you 48. I got 22.99. Same thing for 6. I got 29.47. And then the last two, I got 17.63 and 11.50. Okay? So I'm going to ask you guys, thank you for watching this. And there is one more video I'm going to ask you guys to watch.